Welcome to the Wayne Bennett Podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to Wayne Bennett's Podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Bennett, and this is episode 173. It's August the 27th, 2025. It's 48 degrees this morning, fall weather, but it's not fall yet. And today our guest was an outstanding athlete at Woodrow Wilson High School and Concord University. She's been a teacher, an administrator, humanitarian. Thank you, Melissa Grose Goodson. Thank you for stopping by.
It is an absolute honor to be here to speak with you.
Well, first thing, did you ever coach anything?
I actually did. I coached the first 2 years I was out of college. I coached girls basketball at Independence High School. And I coached my boys a couple times in baseball, but other than that, I haven't done any coaching.
Were you the head coach at Independence?
No, I was the assistant under Rick Lane.
How did you like the coaching part?
It was tough for me. It really was. I'm extremely competitive, so when kids don't rise to that, it was difficult for me.
Yeah.
When I was coaching, but I loved coaching the kids and passing on knowledge that I had learned over the years. But the competitive aspect was tough for me.
Now, how old were you when you started competing in competitive sports?
6. I think 6 was the first year that
6 years old.
I competed. It's funny because I competed at 6 in boys baseball. When we went to sign up for softball, they told my dad the softball table's over there, and he said she doesn't want to play softball. She wants to play baseball with her brother. And they said she can't do that. And he said, well, show me the rules where that says that she can't do that. And so they stood outside Sophia Junior High for 20, 30 minutes looking through the rule books, and they couldn't find anything. So they signed me up for baseball. So that was the first competitive sport that I participated in.
Now, I know your dad, Danny, he played football and boxed. It was kind of funny about that, the boxing. Back in those days, the Golden Gloves was pretty big. That's before they had the Tough Man contest and stuff like that. And so Golden Gloves was kind of the answer. And there was all these guys from Crab Orchard, man. There was Danny and the Danny Graham and those guys, Paul Botman, Jim Craigett, Mike McCoy. They had their own team, and they were good too. And he was your dad was a pretty good football player at Woodrow.
Yes.
And, did he was him and your mom together kind of push you, or did your dad push you, or?
They were. Dad was extremely competitive, and they kind of just pushed us to give everything we had. You know, it wasn't you have to be good, you have to be good. It was just you give it everything. You give me 110% and I'll be okay with that.
Well, now your mom, I was talking to your brother Chris when she went to Mount Hope High School, they didn't really have girls sports or much, and so she didn't have an opportunity to play, I don't think. And he said, I think she was in the band or anything. But she probably would have been a pretty good athlete, I would think. Now who was your first coach?
Jimmy Milam.
Really?
He was the only coach that would take me on the boys' baseball teams. So when it was time to pick the teams, none of the other coaches wanted me on their team. And he was kind of a gruff guy. He just said, give her to me, I'll take her. And and we actually went to the championship that year. So we actually had a really good team, but he was the only coach that was willing to take me.
Now, Chris played on that team also, your brother?
No, not the very first team. We played later together, quite a few years. But that very first team, we were not on the same team. He had moved up to the next level.
Now this was at Sophia Little League?
Yes, it was actually right there at Glen White, where the timber place is now. It's all the fields have been torn down, but it was the fields were actually right there in Glen White.
They now later in Little League, you made the All-Stars and hit a home run in an All-Star game.
Yes, sir, I did. The year before that, they wouldn't put me on the All-Star team, and because they said that a girl wasn't going to represent Sophia, and my mom had quite a few things to say about that. And the next year, they actually did put me on the All-Star team, and I hit 2 home runs in that tournament.
Wow. So you were a groundbreaker from the age of 6 on. And but now they did offer girls softball.
They did.
Now I remember the first time I ever read anything about you. I knew the family, but you were running in the county track meet for Crab Orchard Elementary and won all these events you were in. I said, she's going to go to Park.
And we did.
And I said, we'd be glad to get her.
We actually went, when I was in elementary school, when I won the state championship in the 100 and 200, we had an opportunity to go to the national track meet, which was in Muskegon, Michigan. And my dad and the McClartys, they put us in the back of a truck with a camper top on it and had one of those foam couches like things. We all piled in there, drove all night, ran in the national track meet, and drove all night back home. Yeah, that was an experience.
Did you play youth football?
No, my mom wouldn't let me. I tried, and they tried to get me to play, but Mom would never allow me to play football.
No. Did you try wrestling?
No, she wouldn't let me wrestle either.
I know Chris was a pretty accomplished wrestler when he was younger, and then when he got in junior high, he was such a good athlete. Bobby Bolin got him out for basketball. I was trying to get him out for wrestling. Of course, we were pretty good in wrestling but he would have helped us, I'm sure. But Bobby won that one. When you got in Babe Ruth age, you still stayed in baseball.
I did. I played until I was 15. When I was 13, we played in Sophia because you went straight from 12-year-olds to 14, 15-year-olds because we didn't have a 13-year-old league. And that first year, I was with Chris and a bunch of the guys that were on the state championship team from Independence when they won it in 1990. A bunch of the guys were on that team. We actually went to the state championship that year and got beat by Harrison County.
Now, they think that you were the first girl to ever play in the Babe Ruth State Championship.
That has been said, yes.
Yeah. It's kind of funny now how things like, the Babe Ruth leagues have died down as far as number of teams. Beckley's kind of rejuvenating again, but national-wide, and then they got senior little leagues doing pretty good, and you got other leagues like Cal Ripken, and it's just so hard to, you don't know which direction to go or which one's the best. But well, when you went to junior high, you ran track and you played basketball, I guess.
No, I didn't play basketball.
They did. Did they have basketball?
They did. They had basketball. I didn't play. I played volleyball.
Okay. Now, girls basketball was in the fall.
At that time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I remember when you were in junior high, the year that Chris, I guess he was 2 grades ahead of you.
He was.
Yeah. When they went to high school, and we had I was the head coach in football, and the only 2 guys we had back was Timmy Justice and a Thomas boy, I think, and that's all we had returning offense and defense. We had 2 guys, and you could have started left halfer if you would, but girls weren't allowed to play football at that time. And because you were faster than anybody else we had on the team, and but we ended up, it was one of those years where we had a lot of guys who hadn't played before or anything, but but they just kind of gels, and we had, they think they ended up 7-1 or something, but
Well, we actually had girls football one year when I was in junior high.
we did that. We was going to have a fundraiser, trying to raise some money for athletics, and so we had a powder puff, and so we had Shady, Beckley, I guess Stratton and Park.
The absolute best year of my life.
You guys, I think y'all won the first game like 42-6,
Yes,
and
yes.
it wasn't really very competitive because you and Stacy Cantley and Tracy Fitzwater and the Swafford girl. I mean, my gosh, y'all could have beat most of the guys' teams, I think. And now Stacy was a year behind you.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was a good idea, but the next year we couldn't get any. Of course, you were going, but the next year we couldn't get anybody to do it. They didn't, because we had won and Stacy was back, and so, but that was you ran by a couple punts and touchdowns, and it was interesting. But now when you got into high school, you played 4 sports as a sophomore, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And did you only run track 1 year?
No, I ran track all 3 years.
All 3 years? So you did volleyball, basketball, softball, and track.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So what'd you do in your spare time?
Play basketball. Practiced basketball.
Now, which one did you like the best?
Basketball.
Basketball was your
Yes,
favorite.
sir.
So you were all state basketball,
And volleyball.
volleyball.
And I went to state in track every year. I won the region every year.
What about softball? Weren't you honorable mention all state?
I'm not sure. I never saw anything on that, and it's.
I was thinking you were. I think it was special honorable mention. You were. Now, who was your basketball coach in high school?
In 10th grade, it was C.W. Clater, and the other 2 years was Ron Kidd.
Did you ever wish? I mean, I can remember you scoring and getting a lot of rebounds, and you played with girls like Stacy Cantley, who came up later, and then Amy Gordon, and some of those good ball players. Did you ever wish sometime or another that you were 5 inches taller?
Absolutely, yes. I always tell my boys that if I was 5 inches taller, I'd be in the WNBA right now.
Really? And that's probably true.
I just joke with them.
Who was Miss Brown your volleyball coach?
Yes, sir.
When you, of course, I guess, did they have the Edna Mae Phillips Award back then?
No, sir.
They didn't have that. They had a Pete George Award for the best all-around boys athlete, and now they have the Edna Mae Phillips, which I'm sure you would have won that pretty easily. When you went to, when you graduated, when did you graduate, 92?
93.
93? You went to Marshall first, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
How did that work out exactly?
It didn't. You went to play basketball? Yes, sir, walk on. And I realized very quickly that I was out of my league. And I needed to transfer somewhere where I was going to have the opportunity to contribute. I was too short. Our point guard was 5'10". I just realized real quick that was not the place for me.
When did you realize that? In
November, December.
Did you transfer you transferred to Concord after
my first year.
After your first year?
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because there are players out there who have had outstanding high school careers and stuff. And, everybody wants to play Division I. Everybody wants to do this. And they go, and if they make the team, a lot of them sit on the bench, never see a second of playing time, where they could go down to a Division II or Division III and play every game. And I'd just rather do that. I mean, I'd rather go to Concord and play than Duke University and sit on the bench
Right.
myself.
Well, my original, I actually was kind of following my brother. He and I have been thicker and thieves since we were born. And, he went down there, walked on, ended up getting a scholarship, and did extremely well. So I was kind of following him in a sense. Plus, just following that dream of playing in a Division I program. But I knew after a short time that wasn't what I needed to be doing. And I wasn't making good choices down there either.
Now, so you went to Concord the next year?
Yes, sir.
Who was the coach there?
Will Johnson.
Big Will.
Yeah.
He was a horse. And you bloomed right off the bat for Concord, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And
I was given an opportunity from the start.
well, you played softball one year down there, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
How come you didn't play anymore? Just too much time?
Yes, and just the wear and tear on the body. And, I was a catcher and doing the basketball and then catching,
Yeah.
40, 50 games was just too much on my body.
Did you ever have any major injuries when you were playing sports?
Not one.
Really?
I didn't have a major injury until 6 years ago. I tore my knee up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's I've seen some outstanding athletes that just had one injury right after another.
Yes.
And, I mean, just people that could played on any level and just could not get out of the injury bug. And it, you always wonder, why. I've been very fortunate. I wasn't that great of an athlete, but I'm 75 years old and I've never had any knee problems or hip problems or anything. And a lot of my friends have had, of course, knock on wood, but a lot of my friends have had hip replacements, knee replacement stuff. And I don't know what the answer is, but now your dad passed away in '89, and your mom buried Larry Huffman, and he kind of helped raise you, kid. I don't remember Matt, your youngest brother, so much because he didn't go to Park, but he helped Larry Huffman help raise you kids. And,
Yeah, he was. He came into our lives about when I was like around 13, I think, 13
really?
or 14. Yeah.
Okay, and when you got down at the Concord, is that where you met your husband?
It is. Yep.
Now he was a very good athlete at Fayetteville. I remember him playing football, and somebody said he was second in the Hunt Award and voting or something, best lineman. And I remember him wrestling. I think I refereed some of his matches when I was refereeing, and I actually thought his senior year he would win state championship. But I think he got upset in the semifinals.
That's a sore subject in our house.
Really?
He was predicted to win, yes.
Yeah.
He was an extremely good athlete.
See, there for a while they were saying he was going to walk on at WVU football, and then they said he was going to go to Fork Union, and then how did he end up at Concord? He just...
Well, he actually had a scholarship to WVU, and ended up he didn't have a couple of classes that he needed, I guess, to graduate college prep, so he was going to be ineligible, and they were going to try to send him to Fork Union for a year. And he just decided not to do that. He stayed home and worked for a year. And then Coach Rodriguez called him from Glenville. And he was had his mind set that he was going there. And then they called him from Concord. And once he made a visit to Concord, he realized that was where he wanted to go.
Was Mullet down there then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mullet used to call me about certain kids around and ask me if, what I thought about them playing college ball and stuff. And I think the reason he called me because I'd always tell him the truth, whether it was something whether he wanted to hear it or not. Because sometimes people would try to sell certain kids, and there was some kids that I just didn't think I could play college ball. And I would tell him, and it usually he appreciated that. So how did y'all meet? I mean, what?
The first time I ever saw John was in the game room at Concord. And I looked at the girl beside me and I said, "Do you see that guy over there playing pool?" And I explained which one it is. And she said, "Yes." And I said, "I'm going to marry him."
Wow.
The first time I ever saw him.
Really?
Yes. Now, did I know that was going to happen? Probably not. But I said those words the first time I ever saw him.
So did you approach him or he approached you?
It was kind of mutual. Yeah, it was kind of mutual.
So where did you go on your first date?
The sweet shop. It was the little teeny restaurant right across from campus. It's closed now. We went over there and had a milkshake. That was our first date.
Now, I never had you I never coached you in school, but I had you in school, and we talked about this. You said that I made you write 10,000 sentences.
It was probably more than that. I'm just throwing out a number.
But I do vaguely remember some of that. I know you and Rachel Polly, which is Rachel Durham now, but Rachel Durham, but now Rachel Polly. And when I had her, y'all like to talk in class, and I don't think you was discussing class material.
No, I was never discussing class material. I always
doubt
tell
if you remember anything we ever did in class, but you do remember writing sentences. And we joked about this, but I always said, I've read somewhere where the most talkative kids are the most intelligent. So
hey, we'll take it.
We'll let that go. But now you went to Concord and you graduated with a teaching degree. What kind of degree did John get?
He actually didn't finish. He was just a few hours from finishing. When I finished, he left with me. His intention was never really to pursue a specific degree. It was basically to play football. He knew that when he came out, he was going to do construction. That's what he was going to do, and so he left with me. He never finished his degree, but
Is that what he does now?
He actually works in the school system. He drives a school bus and does construction on the side.
Home building, that type of construction?
He does. He now has a knee replacement and a shoulder replacement, so he's limited the work to decks and things that he can get to pretty easy. That's not too. He just put a roof on a house, but he's pretty much limited it to smaller jobs now.
Yeah. What was the first job you had in education?
I worked at the Beckley Child Care Center, teaching the students that had been expelled from school and were in possession of the state. They weren't allowed to go to public school. I had 16 students in a basement room and the ages were from 6th grade to 12th grade. And I had to teach all subjects.
You were in it by yourself?
I was by myself. I had, one of the workers was in there with me, but yes, I was teaching all by myself.
How long did you do that?
Months. And then I actually got a full-time sub position at Coal City Elementary in special education.
That's like when I had taught at Woodrow, and then I went to the Y for 5 years, and then I went to Park. And how I got to Park was I really liked the work at the Y, but I didn't see much room for improvement as far as going up, because the two guys were ahead of me were young, and the only way I would get a higher position was I was going to have to move, and I didn't want to move. And so I had a buddy who was assistant principal at Park, and he come over. He said, "Man, I got the job for you. You can coach football, wrestling, and track, and all you got to do is work with a few behavioral disorder kids." And I said, let me check it out. Well, so I did, and I took the job. Well, they stuck me out in a little white building out front of the school, and the principal's instruction was don't bring them into school. So the only time we came into the school was to get lunch or whatever, and I had 12 kids, and sometimes it was knockdown drag out. It was, but we did pretty good. I did it for 3 years, and then an opening came in the main building, and I applied for it, and the principal didn't want to hire me because he wanted to keep me out there. And I said, well, if you don't give me that job, I'm going to go somewhere else. And he said, okay. So he gave me the job. But some of the kids that I had still have contacted me. Turned out pretty good. Not all of them, but some of them turned out. But it was an experience.
Bet.
It was, and then the year I left, they put a clinic inside the building. Only had like 4 kids and had an aide and had all this audio visual equipment. I said I would have stayed on if I'd have known they was going to do all that stuff. But that's the way it worked. You ended up at teaching phys ed or something at Coal City. Is that?
No, sir. I taught special education.
You taught special ed.
Mm-hmm.
What degree in special ed? What did you teach in special ed?
It was the LD MI classroom. Is what it was classified back then. Yeah. LD-BD-MI was what the classification was.
Okay. How long did you do that?
I did that 3 years. And then that was a 3-year long-term sub-position.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't fill that position, so I was actually in the same job for 3 years, but I was still classified as a substitute. My first contracted position was at Lester Elementary in special education.
Now, didn't you end up being a principal at Lester?
I did. Yeah, I was there 4 years.
How did you like that?
I loved it. That was a great little school. One of the reasons that I left that position was that was around the time when they were going to close the school, and I knew I was going to lose my job. Well, an academic coach job came open at the board office, so I bid on that just to kind of secure my position, to secure a position for me. They didn't end up closing Lester until like the next year or the 2 years later, but there was talks in it right then, and I thought I'm going to lose my job. Yeah.
Now, somewhere along the line, you had some kids.
I had two boys.
Atticus Rio. Where did that name come from? That's a unique name.
Atticus came from To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus Finch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Rio, John and I, before the boys were born, we were river rats. We worked on the river for quite a few years, lived in a tent. And so I just thought Rio, River, it's just a cool name. So I tagged it on him. He's not too happy about that, but I think, most people think it's a pretty neat name.
Well, who did you work for on the river?
We worked at Ace.
And how many years did you work on?
John worked about 20 years on the river, but from the time we left college till I got pregnant with Atticus, we were full time on the river.
A lot of times the guys on the river in the wintertime, they go to the ski resorts.
That's what John did.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. He was the manager of the lifts at Winter Place in the winter, and then worked on the river in the spring and summer.
They could probably write stories and books about some of the experiences.
Yeah.
You get these people that come in, they're in a vacationing and partying mood, and sometimes, most of the time, you take good care of them, have a great time, but sometimes there are issues, Mm-hmm. I've been down New River, just 3 or 4 times, I guess. I never went down the Golly, but my wife went down the Golly, and she would never go back. It gets scared her to death. But it always kind of appealed to me. You had actually your son Cyrus. His name's Cyrus Luke.
Yes, sir.
He was actually bigger than Atticus was when he was
Yes.
born.
He was.
You had all these males in your life when you had boys, and did you ever want any girls?
No.
You
I
did.
said I would have 4 kids if I wasn't afraid to have a girl. If I knew I'd have 4 boys, I'd have 4 boys.
It's interesting. Now, did you get your kids involved in sports right off the bat when they got old enough to?
We did. Yeah, we put them in T-ball league and bitty buddy basketball. They didn't play a whole lot of football when they were a lot younger. I didn't really want to put them in football that early, so they did play a little bit later, just a couple years, and then Atticus played through middle school. Cyrus played 1 year through middle school and he broke his wrist and he was done until high school.
Yeah, sometimes in a lot of the sports, I think sometimes we start them out a little too early. And I mean, I've seen kids that were 4 years old out there wrestling, and they haven't even learned to be social yet, and now they're competing against each other. And I don't know whether that's, and it depends on the kids, you know, but I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. And then football is always, you know, the discussion. Some people think you need to wait later, and then, and I have had kids that came up in the junior high who had never played anything in youth football, but in a very short period of time, they were athletic enough and smart enough, they would catch up with the ones who had been playing for years, you know, and it all comes down to attitude. Now, both your boys were exceptional athletes. I mean, everything I mean, just, it was like you can fairy tale movie, you know, when Atticus was going through high school, and he played football, he wrestled, he played baseball, and Cyrus football, basketball, and I mean, he just, and both of them were extremely good. They were Atticus was recognized with the Kennedy Award, which is the best football player in West Virginia, and they had the teams had success. I mean, it was like Independence was going through a rejuvenation. They were getting in the playoffs and going deep and win the state championships and those kind of things. But and of course, you were hauling them and raising money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big job right there. People don't know. I mean, how many fundraisers you've been involved with in your life.
It was tough, you know, and we had Atticus involved in a lot of travel baseball as well, just trying to get him seen, you know, outside the state of West Virginia, because it's difficult. They don't look at West Virginia kids, you know, a whole lot. So we had to get him out of here, you know, with just competing on a higher level, and so that was extremely time consuming and
Costs a lot
expensive.
of money too.
Yes.
Yeah. When they graduated, Atticus was going to Waters Community
Walter State.
Water State, which was a baseball school, and I mean, I had heard about them, but I didn't know too much about them. Cyrus decided not to play sports after high school.
He did.
How did that disappoint you, or?
That was a little bit for me to swallow. Yes, but you know, it's not for everybody. He wanted to go ahead and get started in working, and he's doing construction. He's doing amazing. I'm over the moon proud of him. Like, he works hard, and he actually loves what he's doing. So he's really happy. I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, I thought he would have been a good receiver in college, you know, myself, and I was kind of hoping he would give it a shot. But I can also understand, you know, the construction part. If you love what you're doing and it's in your blood, and
well, I still throw in little comments. It's not too late, Cyrus. It's not too late. You're only 20.
there you go. But you had you went to Independence as an assistant. principal?
Yes, sir.
How long were you there?
I think 4.5 years.
How did you like? I didn't realize you were in administration that long. How did you like that job?
I really loved that job. After COVID, that took a toll on all the people in education. That was a tough time. Since the beginning of my career, two of my goals would be either to work at the board office or to work in higher ed. It just so happened a job came open and I thought they'll never hire me, but I'm going to apply for it anyway. So I applied for the job at Concord, and that's why I left Independence.
What happened to all the men in administration? It used to be in the old days, there was almost very few women that would be a principal or assistant principal. And now in Raleigh County, I don't know about the rest of the state, but there's very few men that apply for any jobs. I mean, they don't apply for them. No. Wonder what the deal is.
I do not know what the answer there is. I don't know why the men have stopped applying for the administrative positions.
I was in administration for a very short time, and I really liked being an assistant principal. Even though I handled most of the discipline, I still got to interact with the kids and try to. And then when I got into the principal's job, one of the things that I really didn't like was the bureaucracy. They send you stuff and wanted you to fill out surveys and stuff, and I didn't get the time to fool with the kids like I wanted to. And it really turned me, I didn't like it at all. And I kind of wish I would have gone back and been an assistant principal instead of being the principal. And a lot of the stuff was, I can say this now, a lot of the stuff that was sent me was stuff that somebody else didn't have anything to do, so they made up a survey and sent it to me, and I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, but I don't know whether that's the reason. I don't know why men don't get in administration around, but I mean, it seems now, I mean, you look at the number of males in administration at Raleigh County, and it's only like 10% or something.
It's female dominant, that's for sure.
Yeah. When Atticus went to Water State, and they played in the national championship game this past year, and I never actually saw, even in football and stuff, I never actually saw them play live, but I watched video productions and I watched stream. Good thing about technology, you can watch about anything. I've watched more sports than I ever watched in my life, but not that much live. But he accounted. I mean, he hit a couple home runs, and those were good teams. I mean, those guys, both teams were loaded with ball players,
right.
And you just don't realize how good some of these guys are,
right.
And how good they are to get into. Some of them make it to pros. Now he decided to come back to come to Concord afterwards. Do you think that was a good move?
I think that is an excellent move.
Of course, you're there.
Yeah, I'm there, and he is closer to home. But I still feel, even if we weren't that close, I feel like that is going to be a great thing for him.
Uh-huh.
The coach down there is amazing, Drew Bailey. I don't know if you know him. And
yeah.
I told Atticus, I said, you need him in your life right now. Like he is a great developmental coach. He is a player's coach. He's just a really great guy. And I really feel that was an excellent move for Atticus.
Exactly what is Atticus's best position? I know he pitched and caught and stuff in high school, and he played outfield. And is the outfield his position? Has he ever tried third base?
He played third base actually all the way through little minor league, little league, all those, and some travel. Then Atticus just became the utility on every team, because wherever they needed him, they would put him there and he would do well.
Yeah.
So he really didn't get a fixed position until he went to Walter State. and that was in the outfield. They moved him to the corners. His first year down there, he played a lot of right field, but this past year, they mainly put him in left field. But when he was in high school, he pitched and caught and played center field. Yeah. He caught a lot his senior year. I would almost lean to say that would be the position that he's best at. His arm is amazing, but it also is amazing in the outfield. I mean, his arm speed throwing in is crazy.
Yeah, I knew he had. That's why I thought third base. You don't have to cover as much territory, and he's got a cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought third base would be the perfect. Do you think he's got any aspirations to play beyond college, or you think it?
That's the reason he's still in college.
Yeah,
that's his ultimate goal, is to make it to the next level, and hopefully something will come out of this.
When he played, they didn't have Neil money in high school.
Right.
I don't know whether it would have had an impact or not, but it might have been. You might have been an agent or something that would have. But now they have Neil money in middle school and high school in West Virginia and most states. And do you think that's a good thing? I mean, do you? It looks like it's going to be here to stay.
I do not think that's a good thing for high school and middle school. When you're in high school and middle school, I just feel like your motives need to be the best participant you can, to be the best teammate you can, to work as hard as you can and try to make it to the next level. And I feel like kids, that may distort the way they're viewing things. It may take their focus off of what's important. And they, focus the money, like I'm trying to get the money. And I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing in college. I think I shouldn't say that. I think it is a good thing in college. I just think there needs to be some type of regulations on it.
Well, that's the same way I feel. I've always thought college players should receive some, besides an education. I thought college players ought to receive some kind of money, but there needs to be more transparency. There needs to be more accountability. Exactly, where's this money going? Where's it coming from? Who's getting what? And nobody knows. I mean, I've heard rumors of this guy's making $6 million a year in college. He took a pay cut when he went to the pros and things like that, and nobody. Seems like the NCAA and they don't seem to have. I think they're pushing some stuff now, but to put caps on certain things. But it's so confusing, and so and then high school and middle school, I can't even imagine that. But and I can't even imagine coaching now. Mm-hmm. I would be crazy if I'm building a team and I get it to where I think we're going to be good, and then 3 of my best players go somewhere else. What about the one-time transfer, which people have been transferring for years,
yes,
and one way or the other. I mean, they're moving or whatever, but now they're allowed to move once. But there are kids out there that are in their 4th high school. What do you think about that? I mean, and it looks like that's here to stay. I'm not sure it's going to be changed. What do you think about that?
I'm a little bit old school. There were opportunities that Atticus had that I said, no, we're not doing that. Because you made a commitment, I'm not speaking of independent. I'm just saying, you made a commitment to this team and to this coach. And, kids, the first flashy thing that comes along, they want to jump on it, but I'm old school. When you make a commitment to somebody, unless you're in circumstances that are not good for you, you need to stick with the commitments that you make to people. I just feel like that's good character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the transfer stuff.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think there's certain circumstances from even back in the past that sometimes kids had to go somewhere else. If you had a problem with a coach and personality problem or whatever, or situation just wasn't working out, it might be better to go somewhere else. But now you got kids that come through, like I said, 3 or 4 high schools, and when they graduate, which school do you? I mean, I went to Cabell Midland, I went to Hurricane, I went to I'm not even sure if they'd be loyal to anything or anybody.
Right.
And then get to college, and it might be even worse. I mean, there's guys. Some of those guys have playing now or in their 5th school, and it's of course some of that's all about money. So I don't know whether it's helping sports or hurting sports, but it looks like it's something we got to live with. But I do agree with the regulation. Now, what is you mentioned Cyrus, like the construction and what he's doing? What is that? Just got a plan B if he doesn't make professional a level? What's he want to get into?
He does. He has quite a few plan Bs. He just hasn't figured out which plan B he's going to go with. If that's, he's looked at going back to, and trying to be a certified electrician. He's talked most of his life about being state trooper or U.S. Marshal, going in that direction. That was actually the degree that he got from Walter State, which was criminal justice. Or doing construction with Cyrus. So he hasn't settled down to one yet, but he has some things that he's looking at doing.
Well, he's got plenty of time. Tell him to play as long as he can play.
I have told him that over and over. They get so, the kids are, I just want to start work. I just want to start making money. Yeah. And I said, you have the next 40 years of your life to work. And I just tell him, God gave you the talent that he gave about 1% of the population. And you need to do everything you can with that talent, and if they tell you to go home, go home. Yeah. But at least when you're 40, 50 years old, you can say, I gave it everything I had. You don't want to be 40 and 50 years old saying, what if I would have kept going? So I just told him, ride it as long as you can. And then at the end, you'll have no regrets.
I never heard anybody that was on their deathbed say, man, I wish I'd have worked harder.
Yeah.
I've heard something, man, I wish I would have played a little harder. I wish I went here or something, but I've never heard anybody say that they wish they would have worked harder. The sad part about it, your mother passed away before the boys got to high school, and she never got to see them shine in the high school. She passed away in 2013?
14, yeah.
And she was a nurse wasn't she a nurse?
She was the nursing supervisor at Raleigh General. Before that, she was the director of nursing at Beckley Hospital. And then she went to Raleigh General and was the nursing supervisor over the hospital.
Did she marry again before she passed away?
She did.
Yes. And I hadn't seen her in years. I didn't. Now her brother was George Board.
Yes.
He played at WU, Mount Hope, and those kind of things. Now you have your title now is your assistant professor of elementary education.
Yes, sir.
And a clinical assistant director. Is that what it is at Concord?
No, I'm the coordinator of clinical experience. So the students that have to go out and do observations, and then the students that do their residency, which is what we used to call student teaching. But they do a year-long residency now.
Yeah. Now, so you go out and sit in the classroom and watch them perform, that kind of stuff?
I do. I oversee the program, so I have to take care of any. It's a little bit back in the admin brain, so I have to take care of any issues. I have to make sure that each resident teacher has a university supervisor, so I don't go and observe them all. We have our professors do that, but I do have my own group of students that I go out and observe as well.
There's not as many people going into teaching as there used to be. I mean, Concord used to be a leader in teacher education.
Our program is actually growing because we started an online elementary program and an online special education program. So the people that want to do it but couldn't, quit work and go back to
Yeah.
school, they have the opportunity to complete an elementary degree or special education degree online while they work.
Now, I used to get a lot of student teachers from Concord that would come to my, class and train and take over. And I think it's kind of funny. Of all the ones I've had over the years, I had quite a few, and all the ones I had two that didn't work out exactly the way we want, and one of them was actually an older lady for a student teacher, and she and I didn't have the same philosophy. We sat down, we talked, and she was really old school at that time, and it wasn't going to work out, and so we broke off right at the beginning. And the second one that didn't work didn't work. It did work, but I had this one guy who was really a smart person, knew the subject, but he had a girlfriend that was out of the area, and he would go spend time with her on the weekends, and then he would come to Beckley on Monday morning, and he'd be in there and trying to get ready for the class. And I kept telling him, I said, you got to put a little more effort into this, and he got through. But he kind of disappointed me because I expected more. But he ended up being a principal down in North Carolina. So I guess it. But all the other people were, I had some excellent teachers. And some of them that went on in Raleigh County and became outstanding educators. So, but Concord had a great program at that time, I know. Now, you're kind of, I've seen things on Facebook and stuff where you've had fundraisers for people are kind of hit bottom or somebody in need, and you've tried to take up money or clothes for them and those kind of things. And you're pretty active in the church now. When did this all come about as far as when you first wanted to start helping people or get involved in the church?
Right.
Any particular incident or age or?
I always say I've always heard that voice, and I know that voice is God, just kind of drawing me to him. And for years I just kept sweeping it away. And I remember actually saying, God, please be patient with me. I'll be there, and I just wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, wasn't living the life that I was supposed to live, and ultimately wasn't living the life that he wanted me to live. And the turning point was I was at a summer league basketball game watching Cyrus play, and my friend April was talking to Billy Pate. I know you know Billy Pate, one of the greatest humans on the planet. She was talking to Billy Pate, and they were talking scripture. So, they were just talking about God. They were talking about scripture. And I wasn't looking at them, but I could hear them talking. And I said to myself, I want to be able to talk to people like that. And so I told my friend April, I said, I want to be able to talk like that. I want to learn more about the Bible. And so we just started Bible studies. So we started a youth group. We have a women's group. I do a Bible study each week with two of my friends that live in Alabama and Florida. We do it over FaceTime. So I just kind of dove in there. Growing up, we had a pretty rough upbringing. We had a pretty rough childhood. And, for the longest time I don't know if I'd say bitter, but just, I allowed that to control my actions. And it's funny because now I don't see those as bad things. I see all the things that we went through as kids as blessings, blessings from God, that because every single one of them made me who I am today, that I want to help people and that I want to help the youth and I want to, speak to people that may be struggling about God. So it kind of started and then it just became an avalanche. Just following the Lord, wanting to, to do things that are going to please Him and just try to look more like Him. I don't always succeed at that. I've not always been a good person. But I'm doing the best I can. I feel like I'm getting better every day.
Now, were you active with the Christian Athletes, Fellowship of Christian Athletes at school?
I was not.
I never, as a coach, never really got involved with it at the time. I did later go to some of the conferences that Tim Epling and them would have, and just to hear some of these guys talk. But it was in some schools it's really a big deal. Actually, you're not going to believe this, but I taught Bible at Woodrow Wilson High School.
Right.
It was the last Bible class ever offered in public schools in Raleigh County. And so if you teach Bible, you had to be the sponsor of the Bible Club. Mm-hmm. Well, the Bible class was not a religious class. We taught it as history and that kind of. But the Bible Club was, and I was one of those guys that I kind of felt like a hypocrite to a certain extent because I didn't feel like I was as qualified, but I had other people that helped, and it was a very active club. We had 75, 80 kids in it, and they would meet every morning. Instead of going to the auditorium before the bell, they would go to the band room or chorus room and play music and we would have students that would be in charge of the program, and they were involved in all kinds of activities. So they did a really good job in spite of my leadership. And the Bible class, I had all these kids, their parents were teachers and instructors at Appalachian Bible Institute, and these kids they knew the Bible 10 times more than I do. And I'd sit up there and they'd start talking. I said, I didn't know that. Gee, I didn't know that. And so it was a learning experience for me, but then later they determined it was unconstitutional,
Right.
to teach Bible. I don't know whatever become of that. You were in the Hall of Fame at Woodrow Wilson High School. You were in the Basketball Hall of Fame at Concord University. So you've received accolades. I remember a quote from you one time. Somebody asked you how you want to be remembered, and you said, well, you didn't really care about that, but if you had to be remembered, you wanted to be remembered as someone who gave 110%. And I think that was a good quote as an athlete. What's on your bucket list? I mean, do you compete in anything in it now? I mean,
no.
They got pickleball and things like that out there.
Unfortunately, the one injury I've had in my life keeps me from competing in anything.
Really?
Yeah.
So when your kids are out of sports, what are you going to do?
That's well, thankfully it's been a little bit of a gradual process. We went from 4, 5, 6 sports a year to, Atticus playing at Walter State.
Yeah.
And Cyrus actually played this summer at Summer League, so I went and watched him a couple times. But so it has been a little bit of a gradual process. I think I'll be okay.
What's your bucket? What's on a bucket list? What's something you'd want to do that you haven't done, or someplace you want to go? Or
I want to travel. I want to see places. I've always, there are places I've always wanted to go. But this year, when Walters made it to the JUCO World Series, John and I were able to go to Colorado for that, and that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I say, if you have the opportunity to go to Colorado, I strongly suggest it. It is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And we actually went over into Utah. We went to Moab and went to the arches, the red rock arches that you see on pictures and stuff, and we got to go there, and that kind of sparked that back up again, where I want to go and just kind of see the world, visit a lot of places.
have you ever been out of the country?
I have not, no.
I'm kind of the same. I'm not. I was never a well-traveled person, and coaching and all this stuff, everything. I just never got around, and since we've been retired, we've done more, but we haven't, not like some people do. I mean, but this year had made a plan. We were going to visit some places in West Virginia that we've never been to. And a lot of times when I was coaching, I'd go to Wheeling, go to the gym, and turn around and come back home. And you really would see Wheeling. And but even that plan hasn't worked out quite the way we wanted to. At one time we were going to go to one particular place, and I got sick 2 days before, and didn't get to go. And then it seems like family things have come up. We haven't always, we're still in the hunt. But I've worked with thousands of kids over 30 some years with teaching and at the Y. But are you think you're planned? You want to be college president of?
No, sir. I am content with what I'm doing right now, because I get the best of all worlds. I'm still in somewhat of a leadership role. I still get to work with kids in the classroom, so I teach 4 or 5 classes, so I still get to work with students. I love the staff that I work with. They're amazing, the other professors. So I have the best of all worlds right now, I feel. So no, I'm not trying to go anywhere else or any higher.
Well, Melissa, like I said, I've had thousands of students, and some you can't remember, but I'll never forget you. And I appreciate you coming and talking to me. And any other time you want to come back, we get something that we got more we can discuss. And good luck to you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Anybody else out there that'd like to be on our podcast, you can contact me at awbennett50. We'll get you on here. And remember, until next time, if you're not dead yet, you're not done yet. This is Wayne Bennett, and God bless you.